we go.
Okay.
Okay, everybody. I think we're here. Let me. Whoa. Okay, I've got everything all messed up now. But welcome, everybody. This is kind of an boy. I wasn't even planning on doing a live stream. It was kind of a last minute thing. Let me pull up the.
All right, so I see you on the live stream.
Okay, good. Yeah, we hear you. Jamie, you're on live with us, so.
All right, great.
Except I don't have your picture up. Let's see here. What is going on? Can everybody hear us? Okay. Can everybody hear Jamie?
Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello, everyone.
Okay, I think they hear you good. Now if I can get your picture back up.
Hello. Let's see. Moonzer just said hello. Hi, Moonzer. Hello, Ozzy. Mike. King of Battleships.
Oh, God. Okay, well, this really messes things up. Let's see if I can...
It's probably one little switch there that needs to be flipped, probably.
Well, we'll go back. We'll put the display up. By the way, that's one of my favorite Queen Mary depictions is, you know, what can be better with a beautiful steam locomotive and the Queen Mary on the same shot.
Absolutely.
Oh, good grief. Okay, well, we can do this another way. I'll just bring you in. Let's see, can I get rid of the...
You just can't get my picture up, huh?
I just can't get your picture in. Well, how about we do that?
Maybe it'll happen as we're talking. Hello, Evan Scott.
That's better. At least the people can see you now.
I don't know. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, you're up there. I just having to show my Discord window to some degree, but okay. So here we are, Jamie from Jamie Exploring. Boy, I can't keep track of all the names. Jamie Exploring, Steven Steele, Jamie. Yeah.
I've decided to. I'm setting the record for changing my name. No, we're back with Jamie Exploring, Jaime Exploring. It just seems that everyone just has settled in to know me by that. I've tried other things. I know we've had this discussion in the past, and I've just decided just to keep it simple. And that's what we do here. We explore. We're exploring, and we talk about topics, and so I just decided to keep it simple.
Well, that's good. I liked Jamie Exploring. I even called it Jaime Exploring, but you know what? We'll go with Jamie Exploring.
Well, thank you. That's fine. When my mother used to yell at me, it was Jamie. So there you go.
Oh, yeah. And if she ever said your middle name, like oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, Stephen, congratulations on your interview with General Manager Steve. And just to ask you, how did that all go?
It couldn't have gone any better than it did. I think it was a perfect setup. Saw, who's Steve's administrative assistant, she helped set up our meeting room in the veranda grill, and I came in there about an hour beforehand, and we already had a table set up with chairs, and yeah, it was pretty good. So I don't want go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to give away all the details. We had a few weeks back, you and I, after the hurricane, had a surprise meet and greet with Steve, and it was just so funny because, we were there, we were checking the the surroundings of the ship and how everything was going.
Right.
And out of nowhere, Steve all of a sudden yells as I'm walking away and calls me back. And that was an incredible surprise. It was a lot of fun, but it was quite a surprise.
Yeah, that's for sure. You're not usually expecting to be, flagged down by somebody, from the executive offices. So, excuse me.
Yeah, it'd be like being flagged down by, somebody high up, general manager wise. And if you get a chance, everyone, it's on Steven's channel as well as mine, but you need to check it out. It was a lot of fun. It came by a big surprise. Hey, when you were on the ship, what did you see? You were there for a couple days, correct?
Yeah, I was there for a couple days. They've been doing more work in the third-class dining room. They're setting that up for Aiden Sinclair. So, Aiden Sinclair and his wife, they do kind of an illusional show. And then
Right.
his wife, I guess, performs a seance. So that little center room that is part of what was the third-class dining room is now the seance room. In fact, the last pictures I recently saw, they've already got the carpet in there already.
Really?
The big round table, her seance table, yeah. So that's where that's all moving to. And I think they start. I'm not sure if it's after Halloween or if it's going to, if it's starting up like right away, but they had to get that room.
Well, this is very interesting, and I'm glad you brought this up because we've had this discussion about the ghost.
Right.
What part does the ghost, the history of things happening on the ship,
yeah,
what part does that play in the Queen Mary? And I understand that in the one room, apparently there's a Ouija board in one room. Is that correct?
Well, in B340, the infamous
right.
haunted room, if you booked that room for that special package, the room comes with a Ouija board.
Wow.
I don't know about you, but I don't like to be anywhere near anything that has to do with the occult like that. That scares the crap out of me.
I agree.
Yeah, and
I totally agree. I'm a little surprised that I'm a little surprised on the seance thing. I mean, I like you, not a fan.
Right.
And at the same time, of course, I tend to stay away from the Ouija board.
Mm-hmm.
And now we got a seance room. I know General Manager Steve has given his thoughts on Ghost. We were there at a meeting with him when we first met him.
Right.
And he shared that, I might be getting some kickback on this, but I want to share more of the history than Ghost. But I'm really surprised they're going to move forward with the seance room. I'm not saying you're going to jinx the ship or anything. I'd like to know what I'd like to know what everybody thinks about a seance room. But, I might be getting some kickback on this, but I'm not really a fan of it. I'm kind of, it's interesting how, somebody said one time, Jamie, the Ghost, they don't take a salary, they're free. So this is very interesting. I'd like to get everybody's feedback. I like to hear everybody's feedback on a seance room.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm okay with this because this is something that Aiden Sinclair puts together as a package and offers it available to these types of places. Like the Del Coronado and other historic hotels that have a history of being haunted, and so this is all his setup. It has nothing to do with the operators of the ship trying to do their own thing with it. So I'm fine with that.
King of Battleships just replied. He says, King of Battleships replied, the fact that Disney marketed the ship as haunted is sad because the Queen Mary was a happy ship when she was in service. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know, before Disney, Rather was kind of touching in on the marketing of Ghost, but they didn't go to the point of they didn't go to the extreme. Disney was the first to go to the extreme when they did their ghosts. Wait a minute, what was it?
Right, right. And
Ghosts, myths, and legends. Yeah, that was their thing.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting? Walt Disney. It's been stated that Walt Disney, and I know he had a lot of fun with all of this, but it was stated by Walt Disney that the reason why he made the Haunted Mansion was because the freeways were being built in the city of Pasadena, the 210 freeway and others. So houses were being destroyed. My grandfather made a lot of money. I mean, his houses were in the way of the freeway, and I believe that's how he made a lot of his great money, because the city of Pasadena was chasing him all over the place.
Oh, wow.
And they were buying him out. They were saying, hey, got the freeway coming through. And I remember those times, I would say, Grandpa, where do you live now? And he had some beautiful homes. But it is said that Walt Disney said, the reason why I made the Haunted Mansion is for a place for the ghosts to live, because they're getting kicked out because the freeways are being built.
Yeah.
Now, I know that's the humorous side of Walt, and you're right. It just seems like ever since Disney stepped in and created some of these stories, it's taken a different turn.
Yep.
I mean,
I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie Poltergeist, but the whole premise of that story was they had built this brand new housing, this community of houses on former cemetery land, and
right,
and that they had moved the bodies, moved the interred at that cemetery to another location, and that creeped me out. I was like, oh my gosh, how could you possibly disinter somebody and move them to another location simply because the real estate value is higher, as a housing community? That is actually done way more often than you would think. It happens all the time. And if it's old enough of a cemetery where, not only the bodies, but the things that they were put into, the caskets, most of them were just plain wood, have disintegrated to a certain point, they won't even bother to remove the remains.
Right. Well, this is very, very interesting. We'll see. I have met. Yeah, exactly. I have met some people in the past that probably like yourself that said they won't come to the Queen Mary and spend the night for the weekend because of the whole ghost thing. I've been on the ship like you. You've been on it many, many times. Probably you would be the person to say, have you ever had anybody tap you on the shoulder? I have not had that experience. I'm very much into photography. I have visited many cemeteries here in Los Angeles, all the way to Riverside, taken video and photography. And I have to be honest with you. I didn't run into any zombies. I didn't have any feeling of somebody was chasing me. But there is stories of people feeling stuff on the ship.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just hoping that, I know that Steve, General Manager Steve, is working very hard at bringing the history back, that we just get ourselves so wound up in the ghost thing, and now we got a seance table and we got the Ouija board on board, and it's just interesting how we can't seem to get away from that. I know a lot of people want that, and there's a lot of people that don't want that.
Yeah. Well, I've mentioned this before, but my feeling is that we can strike a balance between the history and the lore. And while the lore is, entertaining, um, the history is also entertaining, and I think that they both need to be expressed. So this is probably a good
Yeah.
time to bring up, and I asked you, Jamie, but I don't know if you've given me a confirmation, but on Saturday, you're hearing this first, by the way, for everybody.
Okay.
So on Saturday, October the 28th, uh, time to be yet determined. I'm going to be
Oh,
doing
yes, you have talked to me.
yes, I'm going to be doing a live stream, and it's going to be me and Alex the historian and Jamie. Jamie, if you're going to be available to come on that Saturday, I want to have like a group panel, and we might have a few other people that are going to join us, and we're going to talk about the ghosts and legends and the history of the Queen Mary, and we'll discuss about what's
I,
the right place for them to be, in discussion, and we're going
right.
to talk about some of the history of it too.
I've been checking my schedule. I'm hoping to be able to be a part of it, but as
Good.
you know, I will let you know.
All right, well, that sounds good. So,
Um, Another topic that we can hit today, I uploaded a new video, and you left some wonderful feedback regarding what I uploaded, and that is, where is all the Queen Mary Art Deco furniture? Was
Right.
it all sold off? Is it in storage? And did post a video. And once again, I really appreciate your feedback regarding, where is all of this and your thoughts. You've been there, you've worked there. I'm sure you've seen some things of, furniture being there, furniture leaving.
so
What is your thoughts on the furniture?
So, luckily, it is difficult to walk away from the ship with furniture.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But it happens, but not as often as some some people might think. That type of stuff happened, before the ship even opened. I mean, it actually started before she even docked in Long Beach. Did you realize that?
Oh,
Um,
did not realize that.
so
I
you
understand that in the early 70s, they auctioned off a lot.
So I'll get to that in a second. But
Okay.
as she was coming into Long Beach, you had all of these boats that were alongside her, and you had people that were up on deck, and they would yell down, like, "Hey, throw us a souvenir!" And the passengers thought, I'll find something, an ashtray or even a menu, small little items like that. And
Right.
and so they would find something and they would go over to the side, they would toss it. Now, sometimes it would land in the person's hand, sometimes it didn't and went into the ocean.
Wow.
But it got worse and worse and worse as they were approaching Queensgate. It got to the point to where there were, small pieces of furniture and deck chairs and stuff like that being thrown overboard.
Are
And
you there? Are you
I'm
serious?
absolutely serious. Yep.
Wow.
I don't know how they stopped it, but it was stopped somehow. And but
Jeez.
I've heard lots of people tell me that they were out on the boats, and they weren't the ones calling down for stuff, but they saw stuff just being thrown overboard, and sometimes they'd see a splash, and sometimes they didn't. So it'd be interesting to go diving, along the route that she took, and see if you can find things that didn't make it into the boat and went to the bottom.
That would be, you know what? That would be very interesting.
Yeah.
If you could get a group of guys. I mean, it would probably cost thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But to track that last course of the Queen Mary and truly find out if you would find stuff down there.
Yep. And the other place that if I were to ever learn how to go diving, the other place that I would want to check out would be right there along Pier E, where she was docked, from 68 to 71, because from what the stories I've been told, is that if they were having to deal with something, inventory wise, or I'm trying to think exactly a good example of this. Oh well, okay. So here's a good example. So the Queen Mary came into Pier E a little after 10 o'clock in the morning, and
Right.
passengers didn't start really getting off the ship until closer to noon, and they didn't actually clear the ship until almost 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. So they had to do an unexpected lunch for passengers because everybody had to file off one gangway. There was only one gangway in and one gangway out on the ship, and that was there at our deck. And so they had to quickly serve lunch in the first class dining room, and the crew members, were all working until basically there were no passengers needing to eat. And so they started clearing their stations, and
Right.
the cooking, the kitchen staff were still on board, wrapping things up in the kitchens, and they suddenly got the notification that they needed to go to their cabins, grab their kits, and report, to disembark the ship, to board buses to head to the airport because their flight was ready to take them back home. And so that's what they did. So they dropped what they were doing, went to their cabins, grabbed their kits, and headed out. So the ship was left with exposed food on the counters in the kitchen. It was left with dirty dishes on the tables in the dining room, and no staff to come and clean it up. In fact, it was so bad that they actually had to hire people to come on board and clean it up because it was stinking. Because
my
the food was
gosh.
rotting. And so I bet you that there may not have even been running water on board by that time, because now the ship had been shut down. The boilers were functioning, so you were on emergency generator power. I bet you that running water wasn't functioning on board. So what are you going to do with dirty dishes? You clean them?
Throw them away, probably.
You throw them overboard. Nice, quick way to get rid of them. Throw it overboard. Don't have to mess with it. Nobody's going to see it. That's why I would love to go diving in that spot in near Pier E, because I bet you that you would find a lot of items on the harbor floor.
Moonzer just shared. You still there?
Yep.
Okay. Moonzer just said, I wish people would give up the ghost. I wish they would give up the ghost.
That'll never happen, I mean, I'm, the stories interest me. It's not even that I really even believe in ghosts, but, but it.
Okay, so here we.
Go ahead.
Okay, so here we go, Stephen. We have something from Ivan in regards to the furniture, and maybe you can confirm this. So I'll go ahead and supposedly there are 2 hangars being used at Long Beach Airport that are full of furniture and stuff stored from the Queen Mary. That's her place. Now he used the word supposedly, so
that is something that I think occurred in 71 or 68, 69, 70, 71, because they were needing to remove the items from the ship and prepare them, to be sold off. But they needed the space. They wanted to have the open space so they could start doing the conversion. And
right.
they made the fatal mistake of putting stuff out on the dock without cover, without protection, and
Correct.
and that led to things being damaged or lost, stolen.
I,
So
I
I understood that they had acquired uh, storage space, and I think I had even heard that it was at Long Beach Airport. So there, that wouldn't be true today, but I'm sure that was probably true during the conversion time.
King of Battleships says, you think selling original furniture and artifacts would be a preservation issue more than anything?
Well, it was a preservation issue, when it happened. The thing is that it has already happened. It happened almost half a century ago. So there is nothing that we can do to reverse that. And as I mentioned in the comment on your video, we've reached the point to where it would be impossible to have everybody return whatever items that they have. I wouldn't. If I had a chair or a table or something, I wouldn't, probably especially wouldn't right now, because I know that I would be taking care of it better than it would be taken care of on the ship. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, another comment. Arrow says, there's hope. Evolution already pulled some stuff from the archives, like furniture for the First Class Travel Bureau and the First Class pool chairs. And I think you had mentioned to me earlier that you said when your last visit, you and Steve, General Manager Steve, did discuss furniture, and some stuff was being brought out.
Yeah. In fact, let me see if I can do this here. It's probably gonna be better if I just do this.
Make sure everybody hangs out for coming up at 2 o'clock.
So everybody that's in
Steve's
the
interview with
everybody that's on here with us in the live stream now.
Yeah.
I can't guarantee this because I've never done this before, but apparently it is supposed to automatically redirect you to the premiere video when I end the live stream. If that doesn't work, I will put up in the chat a link to the video, but it should work. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Okay, well, we can do this. Right here. Let's see. I lost you for a minute, Jamie. You're going to have to stand by. I mean, I've got you in voice, but I'm going to just temporarily put you off of... Oop, it might help if I'm on the right screen. Yeah, everybody, this is my, my Discord. I mean, my Facebook. There it is. That's what I wanted to show. So...
Okay.
So, the chairs are not original. They were used in the Promenade Cafe some time ago, but the tabletop there that you see is not an original tabletop. Those were made in the 80s.
Oh, right, I did see this.
So that's an observation bar, 1980s tabletop. But the leg and the base is an original third-class lounge, third-class smoking room table leg.
Okay. Also, we need to remind everyone, you did an interview with his Queen Mary historian, John Thomas.
Right. And that will be airing tomorrow. The premiere will be tomorrow at 2 o'clock. There won't be a live stream before it, but the premiere for the video will be at 2 o'clock tomorrow.
Sounds good. And, I think one of the things that we should talk about is the fact that it's really nice that the Queen Mary is reaching out to people that have interest, like ourselves.
Right.
Some that, have YouTube channels. And you and I did discuss this a while back about, is the Queen Mary watching our videos?
Yes.
Is there an interest? And we do reach out to the public. And did you get a good feeling from General Manager Steve in regards to that? That they don't have to have a conversation with us. They don't have to reach out to us, but it's nice to know that number one, they could be watching our videos, and number two, that they've welcomed you. I mean, you got a gentleman that has a very, very busy schedule. They do talk to news networks. They talk to the local news. They talk to the local papers. Yet it's really nice that they took the time to talk to you and your channel. And did you get a good sense of that from him, that they are watching and they appreciate that we're putting the word out?
So I think that they have paid much more attention uh, to social media than we have given them credit for. I think they have an active uh, understanding of what is out there, even more so with our communities, on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. Uh, and it's not just like the public relations people who are paying attention to it,
Right.
because I know they are. But the executive levels are watching it too, and although Steve's never told me point blank that he does, I've gotten the clue that he does. So you're absolutely right. Like even going back to Urban Commons would not even think about letting a YouTube channel interview the general manager of the ship or anybody with Urban Commons. That was maybe if you just happen to catch oh shoot, I can't remember his name because he was kind of a ham with Urban Commons, but you could not get anything like pre-scheduled, official. It would kind of be more of a off the cuff thing.
Well, I'll tell you about Steve. That is, he's very, very approachable. I've been on the ship a few times since the reopening, and I have run into him, and he always takes the time to stop and say hello and chat.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, he's very approachable, and I've also seen other guests walk up to him and say, "Hey, do you have a moment? I'd like to share something with you." And he does.
Right.
He literally will stand there and he will listen to your thoughts.
Yeah.
Your insights. And we talked about, the videos that we make and things like that, and how far do we go with it being rumor mill or a TMZ kind of presentation. Sometimes I tend to do that, but my goal in my videos is to report, is to share and to report. My background is, I've shared with you, my background is radio. I've done news, things like that, on-air broadcasts, but my goal is to share it in a reporting news way. Mm-hmm. I don't give too much opinion because I want to make sure I get the facts right. But if I don't get the facts right, I don't mind being called on it. Somebody like yourself who's very well up on the ship, I mean, that's a big plus. I tend to be more of on the reporter side, and that's why I always share in the video. If you have any thoughts or insights, go ahead and share your thoughts. Yeah. I mean, and maybe like you say, it will get back to Steve. It will get back to John Thomas that, some of the things that we're talking about will come to surface.
Yep.
And stuff.
I want to bring you back into the screen here really quick, but before I do that, I just wanted to point out this table. So this is a larger table that was used in the observation bar, beginning in the 80s. But the base, the table leg base, that is a long gallery table. And it wasn't originally round, it was a square table. But I've always loved the the bases, the legs of tables in the long gallery. They all basically look like that.
Right.
And I don't have a picture of it, but they had one. They had a new table that I had not seen before that was brought out, and it's in the starboard, the lobby bar lounge on A deck, and it's a table. It's a pool table, not just a replaced top, but it's actually like the pool original table and leg, uh, from a table from the second class smoking room. The wedding chapel today, and you can spot it out really easily because it's the same kind of wood that's on the corrugated panels in that room. So
Yeah.
it really caught me off guard, but it's actually in really good shape.
No, it looks really good. Here's a comment from Ivan. Maybe Stephen, you can shed some light on this. It says they need a larger parking structure for all the cars, for those who drive there, and they need other things for people to do around the Queen Mary. And they also need some bus or automated transportation. So you got people from Shoreline Village. They got the little boat and stuff, but parking's always been an issue. And then the other thought is getting people from Shoreline Village to the Queen Mary. And some people like to take that drive, others don't. Your thoughts?
I think first and foremost is, especially if they are looking at creating a large capacity venue, or large occupancy venue, they're discussing this amphitheater, which would be roughly where the events park is, just west of the bow. You're talking now about bringing in tens of thousands of people in a very short period of time, and then them all exiting in a very short period of time, like a baseball game at Dodger Stadium. You know how the traffic is, and that's actually done pretty well with a lot of multiple lane entries and exits out of there, and it still takes a while to get your vehicle in and vehicle out. That has got to be completely redesigned, a new concept in how to bring in vehicles from the 710 freeway. They need to separate truck traffic from car traffic. That's a major problem.
Well, there's the docks. I mean, I'll tell you right now, you make a wrong turn as you're getting off the freeway, and you will be stuck with those trucks. You might as well forget it.
Yeah.
I think it happened to me one time, man, and I just went, oh my gosh, how do I get out of this?
Oh, and don't even get me started on if you get caught in the line of trucks. And you're trying to get your way out, you can't get out easily.
No, you can't. You have to do something miraculous. I mean, you have to be very careful when you're getting off the freeway, especially, I talk about, I talk about going to the Queen Mary, if you can, between Monday and Thursday during the week when it's not too crowded. And when you're on the freeway and you're making your way to the Queen Mary, and if you really don't know your way, even though the signs are there, you make a wrong turn or get off the wrong off-ramp, and you're going to be sitting with all these trucks, and now you got to find a way to get out.
Yeah. So to wrap up on that topic really quick, definitely, new concept in traffic lanes coming into and exiting the ship, and signage is definitely an issue that's got to be addressed. Parking, they need to go with a multi-level parking structure.
Yeah.
But it can't be too close to the ship because you don't want to block the view. So it's got to.
No, you don't.
It's got to be over to the more, to the south end more. Probably not very far from the cruise ship parking structure that's there now. I think that's, that structure doesn't interfere with a view of the ship. So
go
ahead.
I'll tell you what, the one thing that I cannot believe is still there, and I actually did a video on this a couple years ago, is the Queen Mary Village.
Yeah.
the London Town Village, and I got to tell you, I'm really surprised, and I'm not here to say mow it down or anything, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of space there, and that can be used for something,
Yeah.
but that Queen Mary Village has got to be like barely hanging on structurally.
You're right. They uh, they suffered a lot of damage from the Northridge earthquake the year
Oh,
before, big time,
okay.
and they tore down the sections of shops that were structurally not sound. But when they see, you used to have to board the ship through the London town. You had to enter that plaza, go through the shops, and
Oh,
then
really?
and then you would buy your ticket at the ticket building there in the plaza, and then you would board the ship by going up a stairway up to an overhead
That's
walkway
right. The
that
ramp.
led to the ship. Yeah, we used to refer to it as the T. That was the T because it forms a big giant T. And uh, and the
Wow.
day that they tore that center section of the T down and made everybody start to come over to the ship, through the hotel entrance, which I think is also stupid. Um, that's when all the shops, what remaining shops there were over in the village, was taken out. And if yeah, and speaking on a personal note, I say good riddance. It doesn't belong there. Doesn't belong there.
That was and you see that in postcards and in old magazines. You see that long ramp,
Yeah.
that walking ramp.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on this? City of Long Beach, are they regretting getting rid of the Spruce Goose?
Well, Long Beach never owned the Spruce Goose.
Okay.
Evergreen Aviation has always owned the Spruce Goose. I don't know how it was gifted to them from the Hughes estate.
So did the aviation company just say, go to Long Beach one day and say, you know what, we're taking it back and we're going to take it up north? But
oh no. Evergreen Aviation had a long-term lease with the Rathers to display the Spruce Goose, and it was the same situation as with the Queen Mary, when Rathers had a 99-year lease with the Queen Mary. I don't know how long of a lease they had with the Spruce Goose, but it had to have been long for them to invest the money that they did on that the dome. I mean, that must have cost a pretty penny to have built. So when Disney bought out Rather and Rather took over, Disney took over the operation of the ship, those long-term leases became null and void. They had to renegotiate a new lease. So Disney negotiated a 5-year lease with the city for the Queen Mary, and they negotiated a 5-year lease with Evergreen on the Spruce Goose.
right.
And when Disney said, "Bye, we're gone, we're not going to renew," obviously the ship or the city was looking for a new leaseholder for the Queen Mary. Evergreen decided that they didn't want to be there, and and the reason was because they honestly thought that the Queen Mary wasn't going to exist much longer.
Wow.
It was seriously being considered for her to be, scrapped, gone, or sunk. It was
Wow.
a sad time, and so they thought that looking for somebody to take over the lease there, may not ever happen. So they looked for other interested parties that would want a long-term lease for the plane.
Were you, Stephen? Were you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Stephen, were you working? Stephen, were you working at the Queen Mary when the Spruce Goose left?
It was gone by the time I got there.
Okay. Real quick, we only got a few more minutes left, but I want to share this one thing. See if you have any confirmation on this from a listener, a viewer. Carl Trotter says, I found out that many of the original sketches of the ship interiors of Lusitania, Queen Mary, Royal Yacht Britannia, etc., were all lost in a flood in the 1980s. What flood would that be?
Well, he's referring to probably something that happened in Clydebank, probably at John Brown.
Oh, okay.
And that is a that's sad to hear because that's a great loss. But the whole John Brown facility in Clydebank was huge. They had just a maze of brick structures there that a lot of them were storage of material from previous ships that they had built. And a company can't necessarily concentrate on archiving things properly. They do the best that they can until somebody comes in and says, "Hey, we're gonna, we'll do it for you." But it didn't happen, and it's unfortunate it didn't happen before that time. So
real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Real quick, hello to Squid Games. He's really excited about joining us here, talking about ocean liners and ships. Thank you so much. And
Squid Games, I know comes on Alex's channel. And
there you go.
I wanted to just touch base on Ivan Workman. He'd made a comment earlier. He was talking about that the hangars were still in use for this purpose in the 2010s.
Right.
Foundation, Joe Prevotil. Joe Prevotil was not even anywhere. I don't think he was even allowed to even use the word Queen Mary in his vocabulary by 2010.
Wow.
Yeah, he wanted so bad to try and be still a part of the ship, even after their bankruptcy, and he wanted RMS to be the nonprofit for the ship even after QSDI was going to lose the lease. Well, they didn't want to even talk to him about it. They wanted him off the ship. If they've got some secret labyrinth of furniture storage, it would be a hell of a surprise to me because that kind of thing doesn't usually get around without being let out. I mean, it doesn't usually stay a secret. And
let me ask you this: do you think deep in the ship somewhere there is places, storages, closets that have furniture, have items that are just sitting somewhere on that ship?
Well, that whole forward storage area covers multiple decks, and when I had access in there years back, I would always see something in there that I never saw before. You always spot something new. And the other source for little one-of-a-kind items, things that you wouldn't even think of being saved, but they got saved and are still there, they're not in storage. A lot of those items are in the executive offices on Sundeck. They're in the CEO's office, and they're in the CFO's office, and they're, those people in years past got a chance to kind of go through the not archives, but through storage and say, "Oh, I want that in my office." And that's a lot of the reason why things got taken from the ship, because either their final day at work, or the company that they worked for was being removed from the ship. They got the chance to get people to turn the other way, and it went into the back of their station wagon, and off they went. And that was easy to do. That's a topic for another few hours.
Yes, that is a topic. I have talked to one or two past tour guides, and they've confirmed what you said, that many people look the other way.
Yeah.
That things came off the ship and it was a gift, or it was just what it was.
It was really bad with the city. and anybody who had any kind of connection, if they could get into the shipyard property, they could probably talk their way onto the ship. But if they had a connection with somebody, then they were golden. They could get on board, no problem. And if you happen to
Wow.
ask your friend, who was with the city, like, oh man, that would look great in my living room. Oh, here you go. And that type of stuff happened all the time. And so all the city council members and the the upper level management of the city, they all got to go on board during the conversion era, and all that stuff, one by one, walked off the ship into their cars and they took it home. And
Wow,
yeah,
jeez.
and every
I
once in a while, something like that pops up in like a garage sale, a local garage
yes.
sale or an estate sale, and you're like, how the hell did that come up and be found and is now being sold? Well, and you trace it back, and you'll usually find it's like a city member, city.
I love to go to antique stores, and I'll tell you, it's tough to find ocean liner memorabilia. You
Yeah.
don't see too many furnitures around, but per our conversation, there is websites out there that do sell furniture and items, and eBay. I mean, hey, like I said in the video that I uploaded today, I would like a deck chair. I don't want to walk off the ship with one, but it would be neat to be able to purchase one.
So there are probably a few dozen deck chairs, original deck chairs, still on board. They are all in poor shape, like broken or missing pieces.
Hey, Stephen, you're
Yeah.
just about to go into your interview. Congratulations. Thank you for having me on. Hello to everyone. And we look forward to your interviews with Steve and John Thomas.
Right on. Okay. Well, thank you, Jamie, for being on here. I'm just gonna put the premiere address here in the chat here really quick.
Sounds good. Look forward to seeing it.
All right, Jamie. We'll see you later.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.
Okay. There we go. Okay. So I put the link in the channel. It is almost 2:00. So I'm going to go ahead and let everybody be prepared for, oops, I just put it in the wrong, wait a minute, hold on. Oh, stupid me. There we go. Okay, so it's 2:00. Everybody enjoy the premiere. It'll start in a couple of minutes. It'll have a countdown. Oh, and I even hear the music. It just started. Bye, everybody. Enjoy the video.